Hello everyone and welcome to this session after the great keynote that we had this morning. So we are going to speak together about Gemini. So we are going to do some astrology, I guess, right? Who's Gemini in this room? No? There's only one. I'm surprised. Usually there's like a 1/12 of the people who are Gemini, right? Logically speaking. But no, we are not going to speak about astrology. We're going to speak, of course, about Google's last large language model, and especially it's a multimodal, and we'll see what it means, as it's not just about text. And I'm Guillaume Laforge. I'm a cloud developer advocate for Google, and people know me, and I came to some editions of GeeCON in the past, also having subjects around Java or Groovy, maybe, because I was the co-founder of the Apache Groovy programming language. I'm also a Java champion, and I really care about Java. And one of the key things you should remember at the end of this presentation is that LLMs and the machine learning tasks that you can do with LLMs can also be done from Java. So it's not just about Python, it's not just for Python developers, although we see so many resources, articles, etc. that show LLMs in action with Python. But you can do lots of things with Java. So I'll show my demos in Java. All right, you can follow me on Twitter, on Mastodon, Blue Sky, everywhere you want. And if you have questions along the way, don't forget to use the Slido application, and we'll have a look at the questions at the end of the presentation. All right, so let's step back and have a quick look at the history of all this. This is an animation that Google created. There are many more innovations that came not only from Google, of course, but some of the key innovations that Google made a while ago, things like AlphaGo to beat the world champion of Go, or AlphaFold to find how proteins are shaped, etc. But the key thing we're interested in today, it's the transformer neural architecture model. And with this particular breakthrough here in 2016 or 17, it was a way to train new language models more efficiently, more rapidly, on a bigger corpus of data, and run the inference on GPUs even more effectively. And that's because we were able to train bigger models on bigger computers and GPUs, etc., that we were able to get this revolution that was kind of popularized by ChatGPT a couple of years ago, of large language models, the ones that we use today. So I won't dive into the details about like the architecture of neural networks, etc. I'm more interested in the practical aspects of using a large language model. So Gemini is the latest and biggest model from Google. It's available in 3 sizes. So there's a Ultra, which is a big one, Pro, which is the one you will likely most use, and Nano, which is a small one that runs on mobile devices like the latest Samsung S24 or the latest Google Pixel phones. And in parallel to GeeCON, there's also Google I/O that started yesterday, and they also announced that Nano will be available in Chrome directly, so you'll be able to do some LLM tasks in the browser locally without sending data over the internet or when you're offline, etc. So for privacy reasons, it's interesting. So available in 3 sizes, but there's also a new version. So we released 1.0 in December, the preview of 1.5 in February, and now 1.5, the new version is available more widely. And we also have Flash. I have a slide on Flash. I'll tell you more about what it is. So the key characteristics of Gemini, it's that it's natively multimodal. So multimodal means it's able to deal with not only text, but images, PDFs, videos, etc. When we say natively multimodal, it's because it's been trained on both text and other kind of media files at the same time. So it's not just, hey, let's take one model to get the transcription of a video and you feed the text transcription to Gemini. No, it's not working that way. That's a model that's been trained in parallel on different modalities, text, videos, audio sources, etc. So it understands better what's in the videos, in the audios, and so on. It's pretty good at reasoning. So if you have, let's say, some math problem, you can throw it at Gemini, and it should be able to solve it. It's also doing great at coding in various programming languages. So it's a model that it ranks quite well compared to, it's one of the best models available nowadays. There's something, so I added this little Google I/O icon because we released a new model yesterday in the Gemini 1.5 version. It's Gemini 1.5 Flash. So it's pretty much like Gemini 1.5 Pro, but it's much more efficient in terms of speed. For example, usually answers from LLMs take maybe a few seconds to start streaming, etc. Here it's sub-second generation for the first tokens that are generated. And it's, as I said, much more efficient also to echo what we had during the keynote. Also much more efficient in terms of power consumption, etc. So it's good, and also it's cheaper as well. So when you can use Flash, in terms of performance compared to 1.5 Pro, it's close to the performance of Pro, slightly lower, but not by much. Multimodal reasoning, again, it's multimodal, and it's got the 1 million context window. So this is the biggest kind of context window sizes you can get in the available LLMs on the market. And Gemini, you hear about Gemini in different contexts. So there's Gemini, the model, but there's also Gemini, the web app that you can use, like ChatGPT. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to ask the question, who's used ChatGPT? Yeah, and who's used Gemini? Usually there's like a quarter of the population compared to ChatGPT. So be sure to have a look at Gemini since it's available now in Europe, but that wasn't the case not that long ago. So there's the web app that you can use. It's also going to be available on mobile phones, but I think it's not yet available in Europe on mobile phones. But you also have Gemini in Google Cloud, for example, if you want to get a chat window and ask recommendations. How do I do this on the Google Cloud platform? There's Gemini Code Assist. So if you want to do like Copilot, you can have code completion, chat, etc. in the IDE. Gemini for BigQuery if you want to do data lakes, etc. So we use, Gemini as a code name for lots of stuff, and all the Gemini features or all those products integrate somehow with Gemini. And maybe I should start with showing the Gemini app. Yeah. No, I'll say just a few words before showing the app. So when I was saying multimodal, so Gemini 1.5 Pro and Gemini 1.5 Flash take 1 million tokens in the context window. So you can send 1 hour of video, you can send 11 hours of audio, 30K lines of code, or 70K 1,000 words in the context window. So you don't necessarily have to do Retrieval Augmented Generation. You can also do send lots of stuff in your prompts, basically. And we also announced, but currently it's only under a wait list, but you can ask to test 2 million tokens, so that's even bigger. This is great. There are things you can do with large context windows like these, but of course keep in mind that the more tokens that you use, the more expensive it is, of course. So you have to also pay attention to that, because if you want to use like the full 1 million token available, I think it's like €0.5 or something like this per interaction, basically, with the model when you send such a data. So you have to keep that in mind. And yeah, so let's have a quick look at Gemini. So here I'm going to show Gemini, the web app. Then I'll be showing also the Google AI Studio. And after that, I'll focus on the code in the second part of this presentation. All right, so what could I say? Or what would you like to ask Gemini? Maybe someone has an idea of something they'd like to ask?
Who is the President of United States?
Okay, who is the President of United States? Why not? So hopefully it's going to get the answer right. Oh. I'm super surprised. Okay. Wait, what's going on? Wow. Why? Maybe I didn't say the United States of America or something like this? That's strange, right? Of America. That's a good one. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Because we released it yesterday, which is weird. I mean, the updated version was released yesterday, so it's funny because I did lots of things yesterday and this morning before coming to the conference.
That's why it's a good answer, because it didn't make it up and it didn't give you all the answers.
Yeah, yeah. And let me try this one, because I'm using, so I should maybe have shown this one, because I was using the President, just one more try, of the United States of America. Because I'm using the one in my, I wanted to show the one in my, oh no, same thing, okay. Right? Now it's going to be on Twitter and everywhere. Gemini doesn't know the, so who's the President of France, maybe? Right? At least I know the answer. Or Poland. I don't know the answer, though. Please tell me if it's a correct answer. Or no. So nothing works. That's interesting. So let me try some things I had try, like, let's do a new chat. I guess we're facing some issue on the back end, because something's going wrong there, clearly. The President of Google. I'll show you some. So I hope let's say, so for example, I asked, like, I have, so this is past queries that I had done, like, I have my afternoon, I want to visit the old city center of Krakow. Can you help me define an itinerary to see some of the cool places not to miss? And it suggested various things, like the main market square, the Basilica, the Royal Castle, etc. And I think it had, yeah, like the Schindler factory, etc., which is quite good, and showing some nice pictures as well. And so I hesitate, should I run live queries or not? So for example, let's do a new chat, let's try something. What is it? Got it? Oh yeah, but I can't do all the things I wanted to show if it doesn't work. So let's stay with Gemini Advanced, new chat, and upload an image. Yeah, so I visited Japan recently, so I hope this one will work. And I took a, oh shit, I removed it. I wanted to put it in bigger. So there are some nice manhole plaques or rain drains, and which are pretty nice and colorful. And so let's see. I add this, and tell me more about what's in this picture. So because it's multimodal, you can ask. Now I fear that it's going to say, no, I can't help with that. Let's see, because it's going to ruin my demos. No, this one is working. So I visited the town of Himeji, where there's a nice castle. So it says, okay, it's a manhole cover. It managed to read the Japanese on the image. And it says, okay, it's a heron, a symbol of Himeji, etc. So it knows quite a lot about things. It's able to read what's on the what's on the in the pictures, etc. And what's interesting as well is this little button. You can check with Google search to see if it's factual or not. So for example, the green things are things where, oh yeah, I find on Google search stuff that seems to confirm what was generated by Gemini. But here maybe it didn't find something, so since it used translation, maybe there's not a page that explains this somewhere on Google search. So it's less sure about what was generated. So it's a way to help with factuality and checking the factuality of its answers. So I really think that I'm still puzzled by the president question, and I think it's probably because of the safety filters we have in place to avoid things like harm and various aggressive content and political content, etc. And maybe asking the question about the president is something political. I'm not sure. That may be it. So another thing I could show you, let's do a new chat. So we announced Gemini, or maybe I can do, so I think I have the video there. So there was a recap of Google I/O, the keynote from yesterday evening. And I can ask Gemini, hey, can you give me a summary of the video of the keynote of Google I/O? And give a list of bullet points about the announcements. So instead of using Google search to find out, I wanted to have a look at the YouTube video and tell me what was announced during Google I/O yesterday night. So let's see, here's a summary. So we introduced Gemini 1.5 Pro, etc. But it's not what I wanted to show because it's not mentioning, so it's not covering everything I wanted, but because it doesn't mention Gemini 1.5 Flash. So I'm gonna ask, can you tell me the difference between Gemini 1.5 Pro and Gemini 1.5 Flash? And show the results in a table. Let's see. So I guess it shouldn't be using YouTube there. So for example, context window, actually the same. Well, there's the fact that we opened the 2 million under the waitlist, so maybe that's why it says it's bigger. It's slightly less powerful, but it's more efficient because it's faster and more efficient. So it's also able to create nice tables for that. And I wanted to show you as well Google AI Studio, which is a tool that you can use to prototype your prompts, etc., that you then want to integrate in your Java applications. And there's a new feature, by the way, system instruction, that I could show. What am I going? Oh, yeah. So something that it's good at as well is summarizing videos. So there are some sample videos because I don't want to waste time showing or how the time it takes to upload a video. But here, same thing, it understands videos. So let's, okay, and what is this video about? I should have wanted to add like what are the key scenes, etc. But it's able to do summaries of videos. It's able to look also at the audio tracks in the videos to say, hey, something was said during the video. Or maybe I didn't hit run or what? Yeah, should hit run. So the longer, so this one, for example, this 30-minute video takes 500,000 tokens of the context window. So it's also the generation of the response is also linear compared to the size of the context window. So usually it takes like 30 seconds or so to reply. So hopefully it'll reply soon with a nice summary. Yeah. Can we what with the token? Well, the thing, so you see that it gave a summary. So there's not really, so I actually built a tool myself for that, which is this token visualization tool. So you can see, you can select the various models or embedding models that are used. And so let's say, yeah, like the, so I think now there's a 0509, I guess, which was probably released yesterday. And maybe I can take the summary here, okay, and I'm going to pass it there and do tokenize. And then it's going to show the tokens.
My question is rather because this video, I think it was transcribed. So I'm curious if we can access the transcription of this video on the fly that Gemini created. Because that's nice that you have this visualization because it helps developers to see how it looks on the languages. But I'm curious specifically of this transcription, how like it's estimated that it will be 500,000 or 1,000.
So that's a good question. So usually when you send a video, it looks at just the video frames. And so for example, what I did, I think should just look at the video and not the audio track. But if I want to, so I would have to ask the question and also pay attention to the audio track. If I just do the video track, so it's doing some kind of sampling, one frame every second. And it's about, I think, 160 tokens per frame. So you can compute that depending on the duration on your video. And then for the audio track, I don't know exactly how it computes the amount of tokens or if it's equivalent to the text that's extracted or not. Because it can also understand, things like sounds. So what was the sound you heard, for example? So it's not just about words and transcribed into tokens. So it's probably a little bit more complicated, and I don't know the exact rule how it works. So yeah, it gave a summary, and where's there? Oh yeah, there's a cool example I would like to show you. So let's create a new prompt. So there are, we'll talk a little bit about retrieval augmented generation in an example later on in Java. It's a way to find stuff into big chunks of data that are saved in a vector database and just find the relevant extracts, etc. But sometimes there are things that are more limited in terms of what RAG can do and cannot really reason about the actual contents. For example, let me show you you know about the Apollo 11 mission when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went on the moon. And you actually have the transcripts of the 4 or 5 days they were in space, right? And how to find the famous quote from Neil Armstrong. So I can actually do that. And doing that in RAG would be a bit complicated. No, not upload to drive. Let me come back. Let's do on my drive because I think I've already uploaded it. Recent. No, well, so, I'll re-upload it, never mind. Upload to drive, I think. Browse, and I'll give the HTML file or the PDF file. Okay, so tell me the time code of when Neil Armstrong said his famous quote. And I could also do audio. So for example, I could record my prompt and say, hey, when is the time code during the mission when Neil Armstrong said his famous quote? So it would work. I could just do like an assistant with voice, etc. So if you look at the transcript, I'm going to search for giant step. Yeah, so it's at 4 days, 13 hours, 24 hours, 48 minutes, or is it not? Days, hours, minutes, seconds, that Neil Armstrong said his famous quote. So let's have a look. So it's unfortunately that doesn't start well. This document only provides a transcription. Oh, it does, it does. Oh, usually it works. Tell me the time code. Oh, I'm not very lucky this time with my demos. That's interesting. Because I just did it. I'm using Gemini Flash. Maybe I'll use Pro instead, just out of curiosity. No, this is okay. And how do I rerun it? Run again. Oh, maybe I should ask the question again, or I'm not sure it's going to rerun my exact question. So normally it should answer, yeah, the time code is this, and Neil Armstrong said something. That's really the risk of, doing demos right after. You're right, I apologize. Time code. Yeah, but I want the time code, not the exact time. Yeah, so well, I'm totally failing all my demos. I'm super happy. Normally, it works, but this morning it doesn't. So I don't know why. Let's come back to the slides. Hopefully the code ones will work better. Let's see, because they were all working this morning. And yeah, I didn't take the picture of the output. The other thing we also released in the family of Gemini models, that's Gemma. Gemma, it's an open model, so you can actually use it on your own device, on your own computer, etc. And it's small models. So there are two variants, 2 billion parameters, 7 billion parameters. So it can run on my laptop, and I will show you that in a moment. It's one of the best small models in terms of the benchmarks that we usually run. There are different variants, Bayes and instruction tuned models, and you can run it anywhere you want. And if you look at like the performance benchmarks compared to the others, so I don't have a more recent benchmark because that would be interesting to compare to Llama 3 or Mixtral, but you already get an idea that it seems to be quite performant. So it's always at the top or near the top. And if you have to choose between a hosted big model like Gemini or a small local model, there are different things to keep in mind. So in terms of capabilities, of course, a bigger model can do more things than a smaller model. And for example, Gemini understands 39 languages. Gemma is more optimized for English. You can ask with other languages, but it will probably not be as good. There are things like function calling, if you want to extend a model with access to other external tools and APIs. It's supported in Gemini, but not with Gemma, for example. In terms of context window sizes as well, it's smaller in a small model, etc. But, there are advantages as well to run locally in terms of cost and privacy and CO2 equivalent emissions, etc. All right, so I really wanted to show you some Java code, so it's time to dive into some Java code. Because the thing I wanted you to remember at the end of the talk is not that Gemini doesn't work, but that you can use Java to interact with Gemini. So there are two options really to interact with Gemini. So you can use the Gemini SDK developed by Google itself. Or, so this is the one, or you could also use this option 0, which would be to use the REST API and call a REST API directly with your favorite framework. And option 2, it's LangChain4j. LangChain4j is really a great framework, LLM orchestrator frameworks that's able to interact with LLMs, with vector databases, with document loaders when you want to do retrieval augmented generations, etc. And it's inspired by LangChain, which is a Python project. There's also a JavaScript/TypeScript variant. But if you had a little cup of coffee, a little cup of Java, LangChain4j has a much nicer logo, in my opinion. And you get the same concepts, etc., and tools as you would find in LangChain. So, and for just for your information, I'm contributing to the Gemini SDK internally at Google, but I'm also a contributor for the Vertex AI and Gemini integration into LangChain4j. So I'm committing to that repository. So let me show you some easy examples and then some more advanced ones as well. with some code. All right, so let's see if the online model compared to the hosted model works better. I think it's probably small. I could increase the font size. I have got a shortcut for that, but I never remember what it is. Oops. Well, I'll just do like this. It's not as convenient, but it works. And my computer is a bit sluggish, or IntelliJ is a bit slow, something. Hey, it's not responding. Now that it's my computer and my IntelliJ that is not very happy. So is it readable from the back or not? Okay? Okay, good. All right, so when you use LongChain4j, the first thing you have to do is to instantiate a model. So if you want to instantiate a model, you're going to use this particular module, the Vertex AI Gemini chat model. You use the builder, and you're going to point at the project, the Google Cloud project you're using, the location in which data center you want to run it. And here I want to use the Flash model that was released yesterday. And then I can do model.generate, and it's going to generate a response. So let's see that in action. So there's a bit of Gradle setup, but yeah, it's going to say, so yeah, at least it works online compared to the Gemini app. Rayleigh scattering, that's the phenomenon why the sky is blue, okay? So you saw that the response appeared directly, and it wasn't streamed, but you can also do streaming as well. So here, so don't look at this comment because it's something I'd like to contribute to LongChain4j to make it slightly nicer in terms of syntax. Oops, not what I wanted to do. So it's the same thing here, instantiating a streaming chat language model, not a simple chat model. And instead of just passing the question, I'm also passing this anonymous in our class. And for each token or sentence that's going to be generated, I'm going to print a sentence. So if I do that, so especially if you want, responses appear without waiting too long, it's nice. Oh, I didn't see it. Did it show up progressively? I was looking at you, yeah. So you see that it generates the response and it streams the response as it's building it. Next, let's say you want to do a proper conversation. Then I'm going to use a new concept that we haven't seen yet from LongChain4j, that's AI services. So it's a way to combine things together. So chat models, vector databases, a memory if you want to have a chat memory per user, etc. Or and here actually I'm going to use sliding window memory because I want to just keep the latest 20 messages of the conversation. So I'm doing this, I create a chat memory, and when you use AI services, you can create your own interface in Java that you want to interact with. So for example, when you integrate Gemini and via LongChain4j, you want to have type-safe kind of interfaces or classes or methods that you want to use rather than to deal with potentially just pure text. So here I'm going to say, okay, I want you to use the chat language model. I want to use a chat memory for my user conversation. And then I've got this implementation of the interface. And for this one, I use a very simple signature. It takes a string, it outputs a string. But we'll see later on that we can have also other kind of objects. So I'm going to do a little conversation. So hello, etc. So let's run that. So there are 3 questions that are going to be asked. Hello, how can I help you? That's the answer. What's the country where the Eiffel Tower is situated? Well, the Eiffel Tower is situated in France. Okay, that's correct. I didn't ask any question about presidents. That's fine. And what's the size, the number of inhabitants in France? 67.8 million. So you can see that you can create your own interface with a type-safe way of asking the model. And when you integrate that and, let's say, inject that in some service, in a controller or something, you just deal with that interface that you created, and not necessarily, you don't see the dependency along Chain4j or Gemini, etc. You can do multimodal interactions as well. So for example, here, what I want to do is to take this picture. So if I'm going to join that and copy, can I do this? Copy, and I'm going to show, let's say here. So you see what it is. I'm not telling the model, just in case it doesn't know what it is. And instead of just passing a text message, I can pass an image and the question, like describe the image. So let's do that. Oh, it's gone again. We're in the dark. AI can be scary, right? I guess. Or it's spooky. Should I like unplug and replug, or what do you advise me to do? Let's try. Suspense. Yeah, I just did it. Sorry for that.
It's not working.
I can try to speak while we figure this out. So you can pass different kind of contents, and not just text. You can pass images, etc. And you can, instead of passing just the string, you can pass a user message that contains an image content or a text content instance. So usually it says, well, it's a cat in the snow, etc., because it figured out what was in the picture. But yeah, for the other example, if you don't see it on the screen, that's going to be complicated to just explain that. So let's see if we can fix that. Okay, so let's wait for the superhero that's going to fix that, hopefully. Let's make a prayer to the demo gods. Right. So yeah, so I think we won't have the time to go through all the examples, but so in terms of the other examples, I wanted to show you this. Yeah, let's take questions, yes. Yeah. Oh, you mean the name of the image? That's a good question. Does it take into account the name of the picture? I don't think it does, because it would give me the same answer even without the name in the description in the picture. But I'm not 100% sure that it doesn't take that into account in some way, like in some metadata, let's say.
I have one question then.
Yeah.
With the competitor, with ChatGPT,
Mm?
there is a problem sometimes with images when you ask, for example, giving the image of person and ask
Who is this person on the image?
tell me similar people like
Mm.
this one on the picture, and it says that it can directly see and answer that question. How with Gemini?
Please repeat question.
Yeah. So, for example, if you ask about who's that person in the image, or or who does it look like, etc. Gemini would, I think, also behave like ChatGPT and would probably avoid saying who it does look like or something like this. It would be worth trying because I think it recognizes like famous persons, so it would be able to say, oh, yeah, this is a picture of Tom Cruise, I guess. But as it's part of the safety features of those big large language models that they add limitations, let's say, to what can be asked or said or what. So, yeah.
We have two questions on
Yeah.
slide, so maybe we will
Yeah.
answer them. You have
Oh, yeah,
prepared
sure.
also.
Yes.
They will not shown, but still.
Yeah, good. Oh, it's coming back. How about a question, who should be the next president of the United States? I don't know. So I guess now I need to... So those are funny questions. So how many people to fix the projector? So let me let me do this. Optimize. So yes. So here, but it's not showing. No, that's not me.
Can we try with
Oh, yeah.
USB-C?
Oh yeah, with USB-C, sure.
Yeah, maybe it will be. Can I?
Yeah, yeah. So how much time? 8 minutes. Ah, looks like it's me. So let me do the settings again. And mirror. Stop mirroring? No, is it mirroring? Ah, I have the same problem than earlier. Optimize. Was it orange? Good. Thank you. So we had some funny questions. So how much time? 7 minutes. It's a bit short to show the rest. Let me focus on, some, for example, data extraction. There's a nice thing is that you can also get 80% of the data in the world is text, etc. It's not structured data like in databases, spreadsheets, etc. So there's lots of data which is pure text, and you would want to extract type-safe data structures from raw text. For example, here I created so I've got an abstract for which describes a person, but I'm going to create a long-chain AI service that says, okay, I want, instead of doing a chat, I want to extract a person. So I have a special prompt that says, okay, extract the details of the person using JSON, etc. And it's going to map that to a POJO. So here, I can run the example. It's going to, well, it's just going to print the 23 and Anna, okay? But really what I got in return, extractor, extract person, I got a type safe POJO out of it, which is quite nice when you want to integrate that in a Java application. Okay, let's say we have 5 minutes. Let me show. I think you've probably have seen examples of RAG. So RAG, it's the fact of searching inside a database for information. So you parse big documents, you chunk them, or I can show you at least the explanation here. Okay. So it's there are two phases. You take some document and you want to chat about that documentation. You split that into small chunks. You can calculate vector embeddings, vectors that represent the text, store them in a vector databases. So that's the ingestion phase. And then at querying time in your chatbot application, your users are going to ask questions. They are going to look at the vector embedding of that question and compare that inside the vector database to find relevant chunks of text in the initial documents that match, semantically speaking, to the actual question. And then we're going to go through the LLM again, but this time, hey, the user asked this question. Here are the relevant excerpts from the documentation. Please answer the question only based on this information. So it's a great way to not use a big context window. So it's an optimization, but for more reasoning advanced approaches, maybe it doesn't work for all the cases. If you want to do RAG, so I had a RAG demo here, like, can I implement records in Groovy, like in Java? So it's a chatbot to ask questions about the Groovy documentation, the Groovy programming language. And while it's doing its stuff, so here's how you can implement a record in Groovy, etc. So it's just like Java, basically. But I did that with LangChain4j. So I'll show you a simple example of RAG, not the one in the demo, but you define an embedding model to create vectors from chunks of text. You create an embedding store, which is an in-memory vector database. And you say, OK, split the document in small pieces, calculate the embeddings with that model, store them in that database, and then you do the ingestion. And then the next phase is to ask questions. So you're going to retrieve from the vector database. So you say, hey, you're an expert in language models. Here's the question, and answer the following with the following information. So just to use the extracts from the documentation. So it's very easy to do in LangChain4j. If you had to do it on your own, that would be a bit more work. And the last demo I really wanted to show you before concluding, that's function calling. So function calling, it's a way to extend an LLM with external APIs, services, etc. Potentially to create agents that act on your behalf. And I have a little demo here, which is about like how to do weather forecast. So if you ask Gemini, hey, what's the weather in Krakow tomorrow? It doesn't know the answer because it's in the future. But maybe we can call a weather service API to do that on our behalf. So the user asks, hey, what's the weather like in Krakow? The chatbot is going to send the question, but we're going to tell it to also, there's a tool called getWeather that you can call. It takes one argument, the location, and Gemini will answer, oh yeah, I don't know the answer, so could you please call that function for me? And the LangChain application is going to call the getWeather method, retrieve the response, let's say forecast is sunny, and then so it's an exchange you don't see on the chatbot, in the chat window, basically. But then LangChain4j replies with to the model, yeah, I got that response from the service, the forecast is sunny, and then Gemini can respond, oh yeah, it's sunny in Krakow, right? So how to do that? I'll show you that function. So is it that one? Yes. So I created this little assistant. So again, I created a chat model for Gemini, Gemini Flash. But I also created this integration there, chat model, chat memory, and the tool. And the tool is described like this. So I created a class with a method that is annotated with some special annotations. So the text annotations actually help the model understand, oh yeah, I can use that function for that task. This argument is about this, etc. So I say, okay, get the weather forecast for location. And for the parameter, I say a location, in case the names are not explicit enough. It helps the model figure out, oh yeah, that's the location to get the weather forecast for. And then I've got some logic, like hard-coded, but imagine that you call a real weather service. And then I can just do assistant chat and answer, I let the model answer. And it's going to do that dance of, in the background, calling, or Gemini will say, yeah, I need you to call the getWeather application. So for example, the weather in Krakow is sunny, but I also asked a question about where is it warmer, in Paris or in London, and it's able to figure out that it needs to call the weather service for Paris and call the weather service for London to be able to compare and give a proper response. So we're out of time. So hopefully, oh yeah, I had some other, I wanted to show you Gemma running inside an Olama container within test containers, which is kind of cool if you want to run models locally, but I'm out of time. So hopefully normally Gemini is powerful when the questions are not blocked by the safety filter, which I believe is what happened, because that was a kind of a political question, I guess, with the president. But you can also in Java set the safety settings and filters to say don't filter as much to avoid questions to be blocked. A few links, the slides, so all the code, it's from a workshop I also run over 2 hours with laptops, etc. So if you want to have a look at the code I showed you, you can have a look at that. And there's a code lab that you can go through with the explanations on how to run and get the explanations of those samples if you want to run them. So maybe I should check if there's like a final question, or like, can I train my own Gemini model, feed it with information that is so accessible by the API or only myself? You can do RAG, you can do function calling for that. I'm not sure what the status is, but I think you can do your own training as well, but not for all the versions, like maybe for Gemini 1.0, but not the latest one, I'm not quite sure. Could you modify the example with 23? Oh yeah, so I've seen examples where there's a great example like doing this, was born in the same year as John Biden was. Well, it's an American president, so I'm not sure, but someone else that is famous but not political. It should work, yeah. It's quite smart at understanding relative dates and so on. Partial prompts from long chain works. Java has no proper prompt templates at the moment. Well, you have prompt templates in Longchain4j. So you can just use the prompt templates. You could also create your own prompt engine that would be even smarter than this. But you've got placeholders for the variables that you want to. So there's a curly brace, where there are placeholders of things you want to change. Python developer migrating to use long-serve with long-chain, or should you use Longchain4j? Well, it depends. I think Longchain4j doesn't necessarily have all the bells and whistles and the latest integrations with the latest versions of each vector database, etc. So maybe you could use a microservice to integrate with long-serve, etc., and long-chain. I'm not sure. But otherwise, for a Java developer, and especially because of the type-safe, integration, would probably myself, I would go definitely with Longchain4j, unless the database or model or something that is not supported in Longchain4j, maybe then I would consider using Longchain Python. Yes, the slides are already online, and the model for RAG stored locally. Yeah, in my demo, I usually use an in-memory vector database. So it's a database with the information that's stored locally. But otherwise, you can also use, of course, an external database, whether it runs on your machine, your server, or in the cloud. All the options are possible. Well, thanks for your attention, and sorry for the little technical issues and political issues as well. Thank you.